Good morning. Wednesday, 1st of July. So we made it through June. Hooray! Yeah, it seems maybe a little cooler today than it has been, which is nice. So I guess I started a little late here, so I guess we'll get started. Sometimes I lose track of what time it is exactly when I get started here. Good morning, Deb and Dora. So let's just get started with breathing. I think this week we're just going to kind of work on our breath and that sort of thing. So, sitting up tall, you've got, that even breath that we're working on, about as long on the inhale as the exhale. And let's start bringing the focus inward. And whatever you want to use for focus, you can. So it could be breath, it could be an image or some words. And if you notice thoughts arising, just set them aside. Notice how the breath is moving through the body. Do you feel it mainly up in this chest area? If so, see if you can relax down in that kind of abdominal area, the belly. See if you can let some expansion happen. So it just gives the lungs a little more space. And then let's work on that AgniSaara just a little bit. We've talked about this before. We're trying to draw the belly in. So we're kind of visualizing the belly button moving back toward the spine, right? And I mean, it is sort of moving like that way, but it's not like so much. So, but that's the direction, right? So if you think about that happening, that's going to get you in the right place. On the exhale, that is that movement in. Inhale is relaxing, letting the breath come in the body again. And you can do, maybe 10 of these. And you can do them with whatever intensity you want. If you want to really pull that in, you can. If you just want to do a little bit, that's fine too. So we're just sort of finding our way with this. And then as you get more comfortable with that process, you can do a little more, make that a bit of a deeper movement. You'll just naturally be able to do more, and you'll feel like what you're doing. What are you supposed to be doing to get that to happen? Good to do. Make sure you have an empty stomach if you're going to do it. But it's a great way to kind of move the digestion around if you are having digestive issues. I know some people like to do it before a meal, right? Because it kind of stirs up the digestive area, kind of fires up that metabolic action, right? So we're more likely to kind of digest. Just like another thing that, I mean, it's kind of a traditional thing to do, but they do it in Ayurveda too, is eating something kind of bitter or sour before a meal to sort of stimulate the digestive juices to start moving around. So you can experiment with that, see how it works. Okay, so some asana. Sitting up tall, couple of breaths. Shoulders relaxed. And then bringing chin down to the chest. Just let the head hang. Then moving around. Make a big circle. One way and then the other. Back to your center. Leaning forward a little. And then moving around. Going one way and then the other. And back up to your seat. Arms wide. Deep breath in. Exhale, hands together. Inhale, wide. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. Gaze up. And then bring your arms down by the side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. One more, lift. And then left arm comes down. We'll reach across with the right. Switch sides. And back up. Let's walk the hands out a little. Coming back up, and then hands behind you with fingers pointing away. We're leaning back, squeezing the shoulders together, gaze up. And back to your seat. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind. Sit up tall, and then take your twist. Back to center. Switch sides. And back to center. Tabletop. Couple sets of CatCow. Loosening up here. Inhale and exhale. And then sitting back on the heels, child's pose. And then back up. Tabletop, downward dog. Bicycle the legs a little bit. And walk. Feet up to the hands. In a fold here. Breathe. Then rising up. Stand tall in your mountain. Deep breath in and out. Maybe lift the shoulders, roll back. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step back the right foot and lower down. Arms overhead. Hands to the mat, stepping back. Downward dog. Inhale, move forward to high plank. And lower down. On an inhale, we're just lifting up head and chest. And lower. Inhale, lift. And lower. Inhale, lift, head and chest. And lower. Then we're moving back up. Tabletop to downward dog. Take one more deep breath, and then on the exhale, we're stepping up with the right foot. Or walk it up. So it's up by the hands. Left knee drops down, arms overhead. And then hands down to the mat. Step the back foot up and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Lift arms on your inhale. Back to mountain. Take a breath. Inhale, lift. Arms high, exhale, fold. Inhale, lift to a flat back. Exhale, we're stepping back. Left foot. Set the knee down. Arms overhead. Deep breath in. And then on an exhale, we're bringing hands down to the mat and moving back. Downward dog. Inhale, high plank. Let's hold here for a breath. And then lower down. On an inhale, we're lifting up, head and chest. Lower. Inhale, head and chest. And lower. Once more, inhale, head and chest. You could always do upward dog here too if you wanted. And then we're moving back. Tabletop to downward dog. Take one more breath in, and then on the exhale, step the left foot up. Drop the knee on the right, arms overhead. And then hands down to the mat. Step the back foot up. Fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift the arms. And we're back to mountain. Breath in and breath out. And let's work on some balance. So tree to start. You can stand on the mat. You might stand off the mat if you feel like that cushioning, especially this mat's not too thick, but sometimes you have a really thick mat and you really can feel a lot of difference with the balance. So it's up to you. We're standing on the left. We may have a kickstand here. You can have the toe down just to keep you steady. Or if you feel like you're pretty balanced, foot might come up to the calf or higher than that. We've got the knee rotated out, nice and upright with the body. Shoulders relaxed, steady gaze. So eye level or higher, something that's not moving. If you are feeling steady enough, you could extend the arms, but it's not necessary. If you're feeling a little iffy with the pose, just keep hands to center. And then just set the foot back down. We'll switch. So now standing on the right and trying to kind of do whatever you did on the one side, we'll do on this side, if possible. Keep the breath moving. A lot of strength in that standing leg. Right? Keeping things engaged through the leg and up through the core helps you steady the pose. So balance does not look very active. It doesn't look like we're doing a lot. But ideally we are, because that's what keeps you in the pose. Otherwise, you're just sort of relying on, gravity and whatever. We're very unstable when we have this leg just kind of floppy or even like lock the knee. That's very, very shaky and not good for your joints. So with all the balance, you might keep just a slight bend in the knee to keep that feeling of engagement. So you realize that you need to keep working that leg. And bring it all down, bicycle out legs. From here, mountain, let's just lift up the right knee. So we've got the knee up around the height of the hip, foot is flexed, nice and strong, standing and lifted leg. If this is not working for you today, you could just touch the toe down and then lift for a few seconds. And if you feel you're losing your balance again, just set the toe back down. Right? Lots of ways of doing everything. And then set the foot back down. We'll switch sides. This time we're standing on the right, lifting up the left. And set it back down. Bicycle legs a little bit. And then we're going to step out into Warrior 3. So you want a little room in front of you. So you can step out and then start leaning. So as we're leaning, we're lifting. As much as we're leaning, we're lifting. So it may not be that much. That's fine. Hands to center. Take a breath. And then left foot steps out. Doesn't have to be a big step, right? We're just trying to shift our weight over on the left side. We start lifting up the right foot. So it might just be a very small movement. You might be here. If you want, you can keep going, right? But we're lifting as much as we're leaning forward. Hands could stay to center. You might bring them out. Airplane arms, if that helps you feel more steady. You can always, of course, touch the wall if that helps you as well. There are no rules about this, right? You need to do what works for you. But remember, all of this is about balance. So if you don't lift your leg that high, that's fine. You just have different levels of a pose. Okay? And then set the foot back down and we'll switch. So again, standing, hands together, breath in, step out with the right. Shifting the weight into that right side, we begin lifting a little or maybe more. So with these poses, you may notice difference side to side. That's pretty normal. Nobody is exactly the same on one side to the other. That's okay. What we're trying to do is kind of over time equalize. So if you have one side that needs a lot more, it's much tighter, it doesn't seem as strong, that's the side you want to concentrate on, right? A lot of times we give all of our attention to the good side, what I say, and set your foot back down if you're not there already. But that's not the side that really needs your attention. It's that other side, the one that you're like, ugh, I have trouble with that. I don't want to do that. I want to do it on the other side because I can do this nice pose. Well, you don't need it on that side. You need it on the other side more. So, right, we're always trying to work to equalize the way our body is working. And, not take it too seriously. A lot of times people do get discouraged with balance. They feel like they should do better with it. For me, balance is a good measure of what's going on with me. If my balance is off, there's usually other things going on that are off. Maybe I'm feeling a little under the weather. Maybe I'm not getting enough sleep. I mean, it definitely is kind of a early warning sign for me that something is not quite right. So I try to keep an eye on that, right, and see what I can do to kind of help that out. Sometimes it's just being overtired or overused. You've overused the muscles doing other things. So that can be an issue too, especially this time of year when we're doing a lot of yard stuff and outdoor things. So again, don't take it too seriously. It just is what it is. Some days are going to be harder than others. That's how it is. With everything, right? Standing up at the top, let's bring the arms overhead. Interlace the fingers. Flip the palms. Maybe lean back a little and then fold forward. Inhale, coming up to a flat back. Exhale, we're going to step back to downward dog. Inhaling, we're coming forward to high plank and then lower down. Head turns to the right, arms by your side. Relax and breathe. Let's bring the head to center. We're going to leave the hands by your side. Just flip the palms. And then lifting up head and chest, the arms and the legs. Lower down, head turns to the left. Bring your head back to center. And we're going to bring the arms in front for Sphinx pose. So kind of resting on the elbows. You got the elbows right underneath the shoulders and the elbows close into the body. So you don't want to be out here. You want to have them tucked in. Hands are pressing down. Tops of the feet resting on the mat. So depending on how you feel here, you may want the feet a little bit wider. That sometimes gives you a little more space in the lower back. And you may feel that this is too high, right? You don't want to be up this high. That's okay. You can be a little lower, right? Wherever you want to be. And just breathe. So we're pulling the shoulders back, pressing down with the hands, gazing forward. So there's a lot of components to this pose. And if you don't feel like you're getting all of them right now, don't worry. It's really just back bending, right? We're trying to work on getting some bend into the back area. You can refine all the other stuff later, right? All we do is some kind of back bend here. And then lower down. Let's bring the hands to center. We can put one palm over top of the other. Rest the chin. You can rest the feet where they are. You could do toes in, heels out, if that feels comfortable. Some people do it the other way. Heels in, toes out. That for me does not feel great, so I like this better. See if you can come back to that focus that you had at the beginning. Maybe you've had it all along. Maybe you forgot about it. Then we'll begin to move our way back up. Tabletop, and then child's pose. Moving back up, tabletop to downward dog. Walking the feet up. We'll come down to a seat on the mat. Soles of the feet together. Take a deep breath here and then lean forward. So just going as far as you can, right? When your hip area starts to get really tight, then that's where you want to stop. Not going too far, but definitely, feeling some stretch. Coming back up. Let's bring the legs wide. So we're sitting tall here, and then we're going to bring the hands forward. So you could walk down the legs. You could bring the hands out in front. Whatever works for you. And again, think about hinging from the hips. So we're bringing the whole body down. We aren't curving the back and like trying to tuck the head down. We're leading with the chest. And try to keep the toes pointing up. My toes always want to come in, but try to keep them up. You'll feel the difference. Walk the hands back up to your seat. And then we're going to bring the legs closer. So we're about, maybe the width of the mat apart. Right foot comes in next to the left thigh. And we're going to turn the body so that we're facing over this left leg instead of facing straight ahead. Arms up overhead, deep breath. And then we're folding over this left leg. Reaching down for the shin, the foot, whatever you can get here. Breathe. And then moving back up, let's switch. Take a breath, turn so you're facing the right leg, arms overhead, and fold. Moving back up. Both legs out in front. Deep breath in and fold on the exhale. Walk the hands back up. Bend the knees. Soles of the feet to the mat. Give yourself some room behind to lower down so you're still on the mat when you get here. Take a few breaths. Get comfortable. And then we're going to bring the right ankle up on top of the left knee. Maybe you stay here, press that right knee away from the body. Or if you have the flexibility, you can bring that left thigh in closer to the body. Interlace the fingers behind the thigh. Draw it in. Let's switch. Other side, so left ankle on right knee. And then whichever you chose to do on one side, we can do on the other as well. And then set both feet down. Relax here, maybe bump the knees together, soles of the feet to the outer edges of the mat. It's kind of a neutral position. It sort of extends the lower back. So if you have lower back issues, this is often a very comfortable way to lay down on the floor. And then we're just going to start lowering both knees over to the right. You can have arms out to a T or goalpost arms just to keep the shoulders steady on the mat. We're lowering both knees to the right. Bring them back to center. Move both knees over to the left. And then back to center. We're bumping knees together again. Take a few breaths. Maybe bring the arms up over your head. You could extend them long, or you could hold on to opposite elbows. And then let's walk the feet back close toward the body. Feet are about hip width apart, hands by your side, getting ready for bridge. So we press down, hands and feet. Lifting up, breathe. Lowering down then. Soles of the feet together, knees apart. Relax and breathe. So we're going to move into Shavasana from here. You could bring the knees together and extend the legs up, or you could just stay where you are or extend the legs long. Whatever you feel like you want to do. You're just getting into a position where you feel good for Shavasana. Keep breathing. Find your steadiness. So one of the things we come back to again and again with yoga is this idea that we are all one. That there is no real loss or gain because it's all the same, right? You may have something, we have that saying, right? My loss is your gain. So you may have something that you wished for and didn't get. Maybe a promotion at work or a winning contest or a competition. And you lost, right? But someone won, right? So if we can think of things as everything connected in that way, it makes our losses less important. And it also makes our gains less important, right? Less personal. So we, instead of thinking it's our fault for not getting something that we wished for, we could look at it in a more reasonable way. Because, clearly sometimes it is your fault, right? You did something wrong, but there are a lot of things in life that it's a lot more complicated than that, right? It may not be about you at all. Maybe it just wasn't your turn. It wasn't your time. You weren't ready for whatever was coming. Someone else was. when we hold personal responsibility for all of these things, um, we make it about us instead of, more appropriately, um, having it be about everyone. So um, if you do lose something, know that someone else has gained, right? And maybe they needed it more than you did either anyway, you know? Um, it's not always up to us to make those decisions, right? The universe, as they say, works in mysterious ways. Frequently, there are things happening behind the scenes that we don't really understand. We maybe aren't prepared to understand that. Um, we only see things frequently from our little corner, our our selfish, and I mean selfish in a good way, right? We all have our own interests, right? And we can't help but be interested in that and to be focused on that. But while that's very natural, it can make it hard for us to understand sometimes the larger workings of the world. It seems very personal, like it's a slap in our face that that this thing happened. When in fact, it's just the cycle of life. It's the cycle of um, gains and losses. So be open to that idea that your loss is not always a total loss. Someone else um, was made better, perhaps, by that. And maybe that was the whole point. You see your tiny corner of a much larger pattern. So when we're thinking like that, the question then, I guess, is how do we know what to do? uh, if we're not hung up on the outcome, what are we focused on? So what we're focused on is the intention, right? Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to do this? What is your goal? If your goal is, and I mean, this will be borne out by truth, right? If your goal is selfish, if your goal is, and by selfish I mean in the bad way, right? If your goal is to take advantage of other people, to take advantage of a situation, to enrich yourself at the expense of others, um, you won't be able to continue that forever, right? Um, Even if the outcome seems good, it will in the end be very bad. Um, if, on the other hand, you are doing your best to try to do the right thing for yourself and for others, if you are trying to stay within your boundaries of ethical behavior and responsibility, following your yamas and your niyamas, even if the outcomes don't look that great right now, down the line, you can be sure that the outcomes will be favorable because our intention is what matters. What is our intention in putting our actions into the universe? That's all you have to worry about. And it's a wonderful relief, really, because if you try to think, 10 steps down the line, you will never know, right? There is no way to know the ultimate consequences of all of our actions because everyone's lives are so intertwined. Um, so that's a huge weight off your shoulders. You don't have to do that. You don't have to know that, oh my gosh, if I do this, it's going to turn out great. All you have to know is, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it to be kind? Are you doing it to help? Or are you doing it to make yourself look good? Are you doing it because you think you might get something from it, and, clearly, right, there are a lot of things that we do to get something, but in an ethical way, right? So we are very clear in yoga that there's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with earning a living. In fact, it is required. That's one of the steps of being a yogi, is to support yourself, right? Not to rely on others to take care of you, but to have some means of self-support. Because if you don't have that, how can you do anything else? Um, that has to be paramount. But clearly, and we all understand, there are ethical ways of doing that, and there are unethical ways of doing that. So, you know, um, it's all about your intention and what are you trying to achieve. And remember, right? We are all connected. So if you don't always get what you want, you might be getting what you need. So ready to move again? Fingers and toes, hands and feet, maybe stretching a bit. And then let's make our way up to a seat. We'll bring hands together. Take a deep breath. In and out. Thank you for taking the time this morning for yoga and for sharing it with me. I hope you have a great day. Namaste. Thank you. Hope you have a good 1st of July, Wednesday. It's funny because I always say that at the end of the class, and then one of my friends was doing one of the videos, and she thought she was on the live video, but it got to the end and it said, happy Saturday or something like that. And she realized it was the wrong day. So, yeah, I have some like days of the week markers, time markers in here, so at least which video you might be on. Or not that it really matters. They're all pretty good. All right. Well, I hope you have a good day, and I will be back tomorrow.